how to respond when he reaches out after silence. Hey darling, I am Bonang Matheba, and right now I'm sitting across from you like we're on the same couch, legs tucked under us, coffee getting cold because we're too deep in conversation to care. You clicked on this because he finally texted after weeks, maybe months, of nothing. And the second that name popped up on your screen, your stomach flipped the same way mine used to. I know the feeling. I've lived it more than once. So before you type anything back, before you let muscle memory and loneliness make decisions for you, pull up a chair. Let me tell you how I learned to stop handing my crown to men who only remembered I was a queen when their options ran low. I still remember the first time it happened to me in a way that actually broke something inside. I was 28, freshly off the plane from Joburg to New York, riding the high of magazine covers and sold-out events. My phone never stopped buzzing, except from him. We had been seeing each other for almost a year, deep conversations at 3 a.m., trips to Cape Town just because the kind of connection people write songs about. Then one day the good morning text stopped. No fight, no explanation, just silence. For 47 days I counted. I refreshed my phone like it owed me money. I convinced myself he was busy, or his grandmother died, or Mercury was in retrograde. Anything but the truth. I simply wasn't a priority anymore. I would put on my bravest red lipstick, walk red carpets, host television shows with a smile that could power a small city, and the second I got in the car, I'd check my phone again. Nothing? I lost weight I didn't need to lose. My friends started giving me that gentle head tilt people do when they're worried but don't want to say it. And the worst part, I kept telling myself I was fine. Strong black woman, right? We don't fold. Except I was folding every single night, crying in the shower so my makeup wouldn't run for the next day's shoot. Then one random Tuesday, after I had finally started sleeping through the night again, my phone lit up. One line, "Hey stranger, been thinking about you." That was it. No apology, no explanation for the radio silence, just a casual poke like he was checking if the vending machine still worked. And you know what the scariest part was? My first instinct was to smile. My body lit up before my brain could stop it. That's when I realized how deep the hook was. That night I didn't answer. Instead, I called my mom, crying harder than I had during the silence itself, because I finally understood the power he had wasn't love. It was my refusal to believe I deserved better. That was the night I promised myself I would never again let a man's absence make me question my enoughness. That moment became the foundation of everything I'm about to share with you, because if I can learn it, so can you. Let's talk about the science of that stomach drop, because it's real. When his name flashes on your screen after all that quiet, your nervous system doesn't care that he treated you like a seasonal subscription. Your brain floods with dopamine the same way it did when he used to text you goodnight every single evening. It's chemical betrayal. Your heart starts racing, your palms get sweaty, and for one wild second, you're ready to forget every tear you cried because the drug is back. I call it the relapse text. It's not love, it's muscle memory. I used to think I was weak for feeling that rush. Then I learned it's biology, not betrayal of my standards. The part of your brain that lights up when an X reappears is the same part that lights up when a gambler hears the slot machine chime. It's not about him being special, it's about your brain screaming, maybe this time we win. And that's exactly why you cannot trust yourself in the first 5 minutes or the first 5 hours. Sometimes not even the first 5 days. I've had women tell me they answered in 30 seconds and spent the next 6 months trying to unsend the message with their dignity. I've done it too. There was a man in London, beautiful accent, beautiful lies, who disappeared for 3 months, then slid into my DMs with a simple, "You crossed my mind." I was on a yacht in Ibiza when I saw it. Sunshine, champagne, friends laughing, and still my whole body leaned toward the phone like a plant toward light. I typed and deleted 12 different replies. Thank God I was tipsy enough to hand my phone to my best friend and say, "Hide this from me until tomorrow." She did, and by morning the spell was broken. That rush always fades, darling, always. The question is whether you act while you're still high on it. Here's the rule I live by now, and I want you to tattoo it somewhere you can see when you're weak. Nothing good ever came from a reply written while your heart is beating in your throat. Nothing. So we wait 24 hours, minimum. No exceptions, not even if he says someone died, not even if he says he misses you so much it hurts, not even if the message is poetic enough to make Shakespeare jealous. 24 hours. In those 24 hours, you do anything except text him back. You call your sister, you go for a run, you watch Real Housewives and scream at the television, you take a bath so hot your skin turns pink, you write down every nasty thing you wish you could say, and then you burn it. You do whatever it takes to let the chemicals settle. Because after a day, the fog lifts and you can finally hear your own voice again. I started keeping a note in my phone called Truth. Every time one of these ghosts came back, I'd open it and read what I wrote while I was hurting. He watched me cry on FaceTime and still chose silence for 63 days. He knew my grandmother was sick and never checked on me. He only texts when his new girl is mad at him. Reading my own words in my own handwriting while I was sober and healed, that was my armor. 24 hours gave me the space to put the armor on instead of running naked into the same battlefield. By the time the sun came up the next day, 9 times out of 10, I didn't even want to reply anymore. And the one time I did, I replied like a woman who knows her worth, not a girl praying to be chosen again. That single day became my bridge between who I used to be and the woman I promised myself I would become. And darling, it can be yours too. By hour 6 of the 24-hour wait, I'm usually calm enough to pull out my journal, the one with the gold edges that makes me feel like royalty, even when I'm in sweats and a bonnet. I flip to a fresh page and I write the same 5 questions at the top every single time. These aren't cute little prompts, baby. These are scalpels. They cut through the fantasy quick. First question, what did his silence actually cost me? Not the cute I missed him answer, the real one. How many nights did I lie awake wondering if I said something wrong? How many events did I show up to with a fake smile because my heart was somewhere else? How much of my peace did I trade for his indecision? I write it all down, ugly and honest. Because if I can't name the price, I'll forget it the second he calls me beautiful again. Second question, was this love? Or was this attachment dressed up in love's clothes? Love doesn't vanish for weeks and then pop back up when it's convenient. Love checks in. Love chooses every single day, even the hard ones. Attachment though, attachment will let you starve and then throw crumbs and call it a feast. I've learned to tell the difference by how willing I am to rewrite history the moment he says sorry. Third question, if my best friend told me her man did this exact same thing, what would I tell her to do? This one stings because I'm ruthless when it's somebody I love. I'd tell her to block him, delete the thread, and go get her edges laid. Yet when it's me, I suddenly become a defense attorney for a man who hasn't even shown up to trial. Writing the advice I'd give someone else forces me to stop making exceptions for behavior I'd never tolerate from a stranger. Fourth question, what am I actually hoping happens if I let him back in? Be specific. Do I want marriage, or do I just want to stop feeling replaceable for 5 minutes? Do I want a future? Or do I want revenge bod pics that make him regret everything? Most of the time, if I'm brutally honest, I'm chasing a feeling, not a person. And feelings are not commitments. Fifth question, the one that always finishes me. 10 years from now, when I'm telling my daughter about the love story that shaped me, do I want this chapter in the book? That's the knockout punch. Because I refuse to hand down a legacy of settling. When I can't answer yes to that last one without cringing, the decision makes itself. Those 5 questions have saved me more times than therapy. And trust me, I love therapy. They turn the volume down on hope and up on truth, and that's where your power lives. Here's the part nobody talks about. Sometimes we don't miss the man, we miss the version of ourselves we were when he was paying attention. When he was texting good morning, beautiful every day, I felt chosen, radiant, funny, sexy. When he disappeared, I became the girl refreshing her phone in the bathroom at brunch. So when he comes back, the longing isn't always for him. It's for the old me who felt like somebody's priority. I learned this the hard way with a situationship in Atlanta. He would vanish every time basketball season started because apparently the games were more important than basic decency, then resurface in the off-season like nothing happened. And every time he came back, I'd feel this rush of lightness. I thought I was happy to hear from him. Turns out I was happy to feel seen again. The compliments, the late night calls, the plans, none of it was about him. It was about anesthesia for the insecurity he created in the first place. I started paying attention to what I actually missed. Was it his laugh, his smell, the way he kissed my forehead, or was it the way my body relaxed when I believed I was somebody's first choice? 9 times out of 10, it was the belief, not the boy. Once I saw that, I could give that feeling to myself. I started sending myself flowers on Mondays. I started planning solo trips that made me excited to wake up. I became the person who made me feel chosen, and suddenly his breadcrumbs stopped looking like a meal. Missing someone who hurt you is trauma bonding, wearing nostalgia's clothes. It's not love whispering, give him another chance. It's your nervous system trying to resolve the unfinished story. Close the book yourself, baby. The ending is better when you write it. I need you to understand something that took me almost 35 years and a lot of unnecessary tears. To accept that little voice in your stomach that tightens when his text comes through. The one that says, something still feels off even while you're smiling at the phone. That voice is never lying. It's the only part of you that stayed sober while the rest of you got drunk on potential. I used to call that voice dramatic. I'd tell it to calm down, that I was overthinking, that he was just busy. Every single time I ignored it, I paid for it later. Every time I listened, even when it made me look mean or difficult or too much, I thanked God later. Your intuition isn't a feeling, it's data your soul has been collecting while you were busy making excuses. There was a man in Paris, fine as wine, who disappeared for 6 weeks after we spent New Year's Eve together watching fireworks from a rooftop. When he finally texted Joyeux Noël, ma belle, my stomach clenched so hard I almost dropped my phone. But he sent flowers the next day and a voice note that made me cry, and suddenly I was telling my gut to relax because look at the effort. 3 months later, he did the exact same thing. The flowers were prettier the second time, the apology was longer, my gut never changed its mind, I just stopped listening. Now, when that feeling shows up, I don't negotiate with it. I don't ask for more evidence. I don't wait for him to mess up again to prove it right. I trust it the same way I trust my legs to catch me when I jump. Because that voice isn't judging him, it's protecting me. And I've decided my peace is worth more than his explanation. Your intuition is the quietest voice in the room, but it's the only one that already knows how the story ends. Stop asking it to speak louder and start believing it the first time. After the 24 hours, after the 5 questions, after your gut has spoken, you still have 4 paths in front of you, and only one of them keeps your crown straight. I've walked all 4, so let me hand you the map. Path 1, the ice-cold, regal response. This is for the man who offers no apology, no accountability, just a lazy, what's up stranger, like he's doing you a favor by remembering you exist. My favorite version is short enough to screenshot and send to your group chat so everyone can cackle, new phone, who dis? Or, if you're feeling generous with your energy, hey, I'm good, hope life's treating you well too. Translation, I see you, I'm unbothered, and this conversation is already over. You don't ask questions, you don't offer openings, you just float above it like the queen you are. Path 2, the warm but walled response. This one is for when a tiny part of you still cares, but the rest of you is wearing full armor. You acknowledge the reach out, you keep it kind, but you draw the boundary in bold. Example, hey, good to hear from you. A lot has changed since we last spoke. I'd need a real conversation about what happened before I'm comfortable picking things back up. You're not rude, you're not chasing, you're simply stating the price of admission. If he steps up, great. If he ghosts again, you already knew. Path 3, the honest mirror. This is rare, and it's only for the man who might actually deserve your vulnerability. You tell the truth without cruelty. When you disappeared, it hurt me deeply. I've done a lot of healing, and I'm proud of where I am now. I'm open to hearing what's different for you, but I'm no longer available for silence. Calm, clear, centered. You're not begging, you're informing. His response will tell you everything you need to know in the next 48 hours. Path 4, silence. The most underrated power move in the deck. Sometimes the highest form of self-respect is refusing to give someone access to energy they already proved they don't steward well. You don't owe him a reply just because he finally decided to type. Your silence speaks louder than any paragraph you could send. It says, I have outgrown the version of me who waited. I have outgrown the version of us that only existed when it was convenient for you. I wish you well. from over here. I've used all four, and every single one felt like freedom. The key is choosing the path that lets you lay your head down at night knowing you honored the woman in the mirror. Your reply is never about him. It's about the standard you're setting for the rest of your life. Words are cheap, darling. Any man can type a paragraph that makes you cry in the Uber. Growth shows up in the unsexy details. I learned this with a man I'll call K. After an 8-month disappearing act, yes, he came back with the usual poetry, but this time something was different. Instead of love bombing and then fading, he asked if we could talk on the phone. He listened while I told him, without raising my voice, exactly how his silence had shredded me. He didn't interrupt, didn't defend, didn't say, but you know I was going through things. He just said, I hate that I made you feel disposable. I'm ashamed, and I want to show you I'm different if you'll let me. Then he did the thing men rarely do. He followed through. He texted when he said he would. He asked about my day and actually read the reply. When his friends were in town and the old him would have gone ghost, he sent a voice note from the club saying, just wanted you to know I'm thinking about you even while I'm out. Small, consistent, boring proofs that he had done the internal work. It wasn't fireworks, it was construction. Slow, deliberate, undeniable. 6 months later, when life got hard again, because life always does, he didn't vanish. He communicated imperfectly sometimes, but he stayed. That's how I knew. Not because he said the right things, but because his actions finally matched the man I'd always hoped he could be. If he's changed, you won't have to play detective. You won't have to remind him how to treat you. You won't have to translate mixed signals. His effort will feel like breathing for him, natural, rhythmic, undeniable. And if you still find yourself squinting at the phone trying to decide if he means it this time, he doesn't. Close the tab, baby. The right man doesn't make you audit his sincerity. I spent years waiting for men to give me the apology they owed me so I could finally move on. I thought closure was a gift they handed over with a neat little bow. I'm sorry I hurt you, here's why. Now you can heal. Girl, no. Closure is an inside job, and the sooner you stop outsourcing it, the freer you become. I used to write 10-page letters I never sent, pouring out every tear, every question, every how could you. Then one day I realized I didn't need his answers. I needed to stop asking the question. So I started writing letters to myself instead. Dear Bonang, you deserve flowers on a random Tuesday, and he didn't give them to you. That's about him, not you. You deserved phone calls just to hear your voice, and he chose silence. That's about him, not you. You are still whole, still magic, still more than enough. I burned the old, unsent letters in a metal bowl on my balcony while sage smoked and Beyonce played. Dramatic? Absolutely. Necessary? 1000%. Because the moment the flames took those words, something shifted. I wasn't waiting anymore. I had answered myself. You don't need him to admit he was wrong to know you were right to protect your heart. You don't need him to say he misses you to know you're unforgettable. You don't need his apology to give yourself permission to stop crying in the car. Closure is the moment you decide his absence no longer gets to rent space in your future. And the crazy part, the second you claim it for yourself, you stop caring whether he ever circles back, because you've already left the waiting room and started living. The last thing I want you to carry out of this conversation is the quiet certainty that your price tag is non-negotiable. Not because you're perfect, none of us are, but because you have decided that your heart, your time, your peace, and your body are luxury items. And luxury doesn't go on clearance just because someone finally noticed it was missing from their life. I used to think being chosen meant I had won. Now I know the real victory is choosing myself first, every single time. When I stopped auditioning for roles in other people's stories, I started writing my own, and baby, the plot twists have been delicious. Sold out arenas, passport stamps in places I used to only dream about, mornings where I wake up excited because the day belongs to me, not to someone else's indecision. That's the glow up they can't duplicate with a late night text. Every time you enforce a boundary, every time you let a message sit unread until you're ready, every time you walk away from a table where respect isn't being served, you are teaching the universe how to treat you. And the universe is an excellent student. The right love doesn't make you shrink to fit. It expands to hold everything you are, even the messy parts, even the days when your edges aren't laid and your attitude is loud. The right love shows up early, stays late, and never makes you question whether you're too much or not enough. You're just right, exactly as you are. I want you to look in the mirror tonight and say it out loud. I am not the girl he calls when the new one gets boring. I am not the soft place he lands when life gets hard. I am the main event. I am the headliner. I am the whole damn show, and anybody who wants a ticket better come correct or stay in the nosebleeds. Say it until it feels like breathing. Say it until it feels truer than any sweet nothing he ever whispered at 2 a.m. And when the next text comes, because it will, they always circle back when they see you shining. Without them, you'll smile not because you're weak, but because you finally understand the game. You're no longer playing to be picked, you're playing to remind him what he lost. Then you'll lock your phone, turn the music up, and keep building the kind of life that makes his return feel like a footnote instead of a plot twist. You, my love, were never the backup plan. You were always the prize he wasn't ready to win. And now that you know it, nobody gets to tell you differently, not even on their best day. Walk like you know the crown is already yours, because it is. It always was. If this spoke to your soul, hit that subscribe button, drop a comment with the word crown so I know you felt this, like it, share it with every sister who needs to hear. She's enough today. We're building a whole kingdom of women who choose themselves first, and I want you in it. See you in the next one, Queen.